Hi guys, so today's presentation, I'm going to be covering a pretty technical topic for SEO. I'm going to be looking at a tool called AHRefs, and I'll explain how you can use it to analyze your competitors for SEO. So just so I can gauge the room a little bit, who here is working on client projects? Raise your hand. Great. And then who here has their own website that they would like to rank? Okay. Great. Awesome. So it's a good mix. Both of you will find something valuable here. If you're working on clients, you'll learn how to set expectations. If you're working on your own site, you'll learn how to set goals for your rankings. So let me just get started. There's going to be a lot of information on these slides, a lot of text, and you're probably not going to have time to write it all down or memorize it. So there's a link on the screen right now. You can take a picture with your phone to get a copy of these slides. It's public. Anybody can look at it. Just write it down or take a picture so you can get them later. So let me cover some goals real quickly. What are you going to learn from this presentation? You're going to learn how to answer a few main questions. You're going to learn how to answer, how does Google actually rank websites? You're going to learn how do you compare different websites to each other when it comes to relevance and authority. You're going to learn how to know if someone is actively working on their SEO. If you're looking at a competitor, are they actively trying to improve their rankings, or are they just ranking well and they've been ranking well forever and they're not working on it? Also, you're going to learn how to set goals and expectations. So if you're working on your own site, how long should you work on it until it ranks? And if you're working on a client, what should you say when they ask you, how long is it going to take to rank my site? Let me start with some context. You might not know what AHRefs is. This is a screenshot on the right. There's a million billion points of data in there. I'll explain what's important, but the key here, it's an analysis tool. It doesn't do anything on your website. It just tells you information about other websites and maybe your own website. You can learn things like what websites are linking to a particular website. In this case, I'm looking at greenwoodheating.com in the screenshot. You can look at keyword research, so they'll tell you how many people are searching search engine optimization versus just SEO. You wouldn't get that kind of information in a free tool like Keyword Planner. It also shows you trends for key metrics, so you can see some of these graphs that are going up or down. So at a glance, you can really tell what's going on. And there's so much more data in there, but I'm not going to talk about it all. So let's just get into it. Question 1, how does Google actually rank pages? So this is important context because if you don't know how it ranks pages, then you're going to see that data dump from AHRefs and you're not going to know what to do with it. So we have to start with the basics. SEO 101. Some of you might have seen this before. There's two main factors for ranking a website on Google. It's relevance and authority. So let me start with relevance. What does this mean? Relevance is commonly known as on-page SEO. It has to do with what is the actual text on your page telling Google that you should rank for. So in this example, you're looking at 3 different searches that want to rank for 1997 Ford Ranger for sale. The first one shows you a website whose page title is exactly 1997 Ford Ranger for sale. The second one you're looking at is it's category 2. It's almost there. But if you clicked on it, you would see the same thing as what you typed in. The third one you're looking at, Ford Ranger parts. Google's kind of struggling, grasping for straws. They're just trying to show you something that matches what you typed in. So think of Google like a matching algorithm. When it comes to ranking a website, you can get to the second or third page for pretty much any search. First page for a lot of searches, just making sure you have this part down. Having a page on your website for everything that you would like to rank for. The second important factor relevance is actually the most important factor. If you stop paying attention right now and just went home and did SEO, you're like 80% of the way there. But there's a few other factors. Authority is the second most important factor. So quickly, authority. This is commonly known as off-page SEO or link building. I would say it's the second most important factor for ranking a website. There's disagreements online. In my experience, this is true. This is what will take a website from the second page to the first page for any keyword. So any competitive keyword, this is what really makes the difference. It's all about the quantity and the quality of links going to your site. Some examples like Wikipedia, Huffington Post, Forbes. If somebody writes about you in one of those publications, a human can tell that, wow, Vlad must be really authoritative. They wrote about him on Forbes. Google thinks the same way when it comes to links. So a link is you can click on it, takes you to another page. That's the second most important factor, quality and quantity of links to your site. So to recap, for question number one, how does Google rank websites? This is the simplified version. It's relevance and authority. So do you have a page on your website for every idea or keyword that you want to rank for? And are those pages credible or more authoritative compared to other people's websites? So that naturally leads to the next question. How do you compare different websites? This is all about competitive analysis. How do you compare relevance and authority using AHRefs, comparing websites to each other? So the first thing, this is a little in the weeds again, but to make it simple and simplify it, you want to take out anything that's a national website. National website means like Yelp.com, House, there's a lot of national websites, Angie's List, Porch, whatever. If you're trying to answer the question, how long is it going to take me to rank? Your client, who's like a contractor in Seattle, doesn't have the budget of Yelp. So we're not talking about that. They're not trying to rank in every city. They want to rank in Seattle, and they want to rank for HVAC services. Yelp wants to rank in every city for every service. So it's a completely different scale. So for the purpose of this analysis, it's going to save you a lot of time if you just ignore national websites whenever you see them in the data. This screenshot that you're looking at here, it's pretty small, but what I'm looking at is a search for Seattle HVAC, and it's showing the first 10 results that AHRefs found. So you'll see something pretty similar if you go to Google, you type in Seattle HVAC, you'll see 10 websites. The ones in yellow are all the local websites. So you'll notice there's the first 3 results are Yelp, number 6 is Home Advisor, 7 is Porch, 8 is Angie's List, 10 is Indeed. We don't care about those guys for this analysis. We only care about Greenwood Heating, Comfort Systems, Evergreen HVAC. If you're trying to rank a client in Seattle, those are the guys you want to pay attention to if they do HVAC. You don't care about Porch or Angie's List. That's a completely different scale. So I just wanted to show that really quickly because if you go to google.com and you type it in, you might see a little bit differently because the AHRefs tool, it's not searching from here in Seattle, it's searching from a server, and there's some discrepancies, but it's mostly on the same page. So here I found Greenwood, Cardinal, and Comfort Systems, so virtually the same. Now, there's a lot of data on that slide, so let's zoom in a little bit and figure out what is actually important here that you care about when you're comparing websites to each other. So there's some key things. If you remember relevance and authority, we want to look at what are they talking about in their page title. So I've highlighted that in boxes on the left. And then what is their authority roughly like? So roughly, because these metrics, they're not talking about pages, they're talking about, well actually the numbers you see on the right for domains, that tells you how many different websites link to this page. So for example, Yelp, number 1 and number 2, it says 0. Number 3, Yelp has 1. Greenwoodheating.com, 68. Comfort Systems, 97. That tells you how many different websites link to these guys. And in the yellow boxes, again, it's I'm looking for relevance. If I was trying to pick a site that answers my search for Seattle HVAC, even as a human, you're going to scan and say, does this look like what I'm looking for? Well, they're talking about it, so maybe that's what it is. Google sort of thinks mostly the same way. Does it match what the person typed in? So that sort of leads into the second question. So, we just answered, how do you compare relevance and authority? You want to look at title tags. That was the boxes on the left to figure out if they're relevant. You want to look at domain rank and referring domains. That was the 2 numbers on the right that I highlighted for authority. That's interesting, but we also care about trajectory. So if you think about Greenwood Heating, if they're not doing any SEO, they're going to fall off eventually. So should you even be paying attention to them? How do you compare, how do you know if someone is actively working on their SEO rankings on Google? This one is pretty simple with thanks to AHRefs. So you want to start with, pick out all the local competitors. Again, Greenwood Heating, Comfort Systems, Evergreen HVAC. I'm going to use these guys as consistent examples through the whole presentation. I'm looking at, do they have the keyword in the title or some variation of it in the title? Okay, they all do. How many referring domains do they have? 68, 97, and 9. The next thing I look at is trends. Are they increasing or decreasing how many people are linking to their website? Are they going to Angie's List and all these websites and registering accounts? That's what this graph tells you. So Greenwood Heating, you can see it's going up. They're increasing their links. Someone is doing their SEO. Comfort Systems, kind of up and down. Maybe they're doing it in-house, or maybe they just hired someone and they weren't working with someone for a while. And these last guys, Evergreen HVAC, not that many links. Maybe they just got started with that. They could also be sort of the Rand Fishkin approach of, you don't want any links or completely avoid links. But you can see that sometimes it works. So again, just to recap, how do you know if someone is actively working on improving their rankings on Google? You look for an increasing number of referring domains over time. So the way that you get these graphs through AHRefs, you just go to the home page, sign in, put in anybody's website, and it'll spit out this graph right on the first screen. How do you set goals and expectations? So now that we know, how do you rank a website on Google? What numbers do you look at? How do you know if someone's working on their SEO? If you're talking to a client or if you're working on your own site, how do you set your goals and expectations? So just to recap, you rank based on relevance and authority. In order to rank better than someone else, you need more relevance and more authority. It's pretty straightforward. Than your competitors, than the guys that are on page one. So remember, we're looking at local competitors. We're not looking at Yelp, but you want more relevance and authority than your local competitors. There's a lot of ways to improve relevance. Quick example, if you look at the title of your page, the title tag, if it says home, you're not trying to rank for the word home. You want to rank for like Seattle HVAC, or as an example here, I said homepage superheating company. A lot of web designers, you'll have them do a website and that's what it looks like at the end of the day. So a better title would be something like superheating company, Seattle HVAC services. So it has the keyword that you want to rank for, Seattle HVAC, has the city, which is super important. Google cares about local. And if you're just looking at these two results on Google, which one are you more likely to click on? Probably the one that matches your search. Again, I'm not going to get into the weeds. There's a lot of ways to improve your relevance, but this gets you most of the way there, making sure you have a page for every keyword you want to rank for. More authority. How do you become more authoritative than the competition? You want to increase the quantity and the quality of links to your web pages. So if authority means how many links do you have, and to be more competitive, you need to be more authoritative, that means you need more links. So low-hanging fruit, I just made a quick list. Google My Business, Yelp, Angie's List, Houzz, Facebook, Twitter. All of these websites are considered authoritative by Google. So you can register a profile there, put your website in the link, and then it goes to your website. Boom, Google sees you're more authoritative now. Another quick tip is look at your competitors' backlinks. So in AHRefs, you can put in any website, and then on the top left of the results, there's a backlinks profile button. So I clicked on that for one of these guys, Greenwood Heating. Shows me all the websites that they have linking to them. And all the ones I highlighted, you can see it's like 9 out of 10 of them, anybody can go get a profile. So bbb.org, Yellow Pages, Yahoo Local, ZipRecruiter, Kudzu, Porch. Some of these might not make sense for your vertical, but company.com. Anybody can just go and sign up for these. So it's a good place to start, just looking at your competitors. Another way to get value out of AHRefs. So to kind of tie it all together, what are the goals and expectations for relevance? So the goal that I would say for relevance is to have pages on your client's website that are more relevant than their competitors' pages. So if you're car gurus and you just have a general used Ford Rangers for sale, then maybe you should build a page for every year of a Ford Ranger. That would make your website more relevant. And you can do this quickly, so there's no penalty, there's no downside. You can't lose rankings by making your website more relevant. My expectation personally for clients that we work with is we get this done in the first month, and then we get it done for one page for every keyword. There's some exceptions if you have an e-commerce site with 1 million products. If you are literally trying to take on Yelp, you're going to need 1 million pages. That takes longer. Or you're going to need a developer to build something that can do that. So the overall goal for, let's say you want to beat out Greenwood Heating, you want to be an HVAC company, I would say maybe you need a couple dozen pages for the different neighborhoods or the different cities, and maybe a dozen more for the different services that you offer. I would expect to do this in the first month. This is something you could do yourself. And the goals for authority, this is where it gets a little more long-term. You can't just jam 1 million links to your site and hope to get rankings. There's diminishing returns based on how quickly you do it. So a good rule of thumb I put is 5 quality backlinks per page per month. If you stick to this, that's pretty much all you need to know for link building. Just find quality pages, websites that you know that real people use, like Health Grades or a quick example. But blogs, if you know that there's a local blog that people read, that kind of thing. It's not that hard to find quality websites. And then that tip from AHRefs I showed you, just look at your competitors. Where are they getting their links? You can do the same thing. And again, there's some exceptions. If there's a competitor who's actively working on their SEO, if somebody else is doing 5 a month, well, now you need to do 10 a month. So if you want to outpace them, you need to increase that. And yeah, that's really the main exception. So rule of thumb is 5. If other people are doing more, you can do more. The reason it's the rule of thumb is because you won't raise any red flags with 5 links to your page. It's just like nobody cares. Normal websites are expected to get links sometimes. And so 5 is a really safe number. So just to recap, how do you set goals and expectations for SEO services? Determine how much work that their competitors did in order to rank, and your goal should be to exceed them. If you exceed them from relevance, if you exceed them from authority, you will outrank them. So putting all the pieces together, how long should it actually take to rank a website? So we talked about a lot of different stuff, but bottom line, how long? What are you starting with? So there's a couple key questions. What are you starting with? If your site already ranks on the first page for, South America vacations, and you want to rank for South America cruises, maybe it only takes a month because you're on page 1. You already have a lot of domain authority, credibility from Google, that kind of thing. If you just built your website, you don't exist, well, guess what? Everybody's trying to rank for the travel industry, so it's going to take you a long time. How long did it take your competitors to rank? So this is another cool thing from AHRefs. In their Keywords Explorer, you can put in any keyword. If it has more than about 1,000 searches a month, in this case there's only 200 searches for this keyword, it'll show you a graph of everyone else's rankings in the top 5. So I wanted to highlight in this case, like this website for the keyword Seattle SEO, this domain, seattleseo.net. They were on page 2 for the last 6 months. They just broke into page 1. It's a competitive niche, so it took longer than you would think. Interesting notes, if you look at the guys at the top, like seattlewebworks.com, they've been there forever. And that's the cool thing about Google rankings. Once you're there, it's very sticky. The orange line that you see on the right is for a national website, upcity.com. It's a review site, very similar to Yelp. And again, that's the power of those types of sites. If you have all that domain authority, all that credibility in Google, you make a new page and bam, you just shoot up in the rankings. Last important question is, what's your budget? So if you're doing it yourself, your question is, how much time do I have? If you're hiring someone, it's how much money do I have? Larger websites, e-commerce, if you have a lot of cities that you work in, it's going to take more time to build out those pages. If you want to rank for more keywords, let's say you provide tax accounting services to any city in America. It's going to take you time to build those pages out. It's just man hours. Also, if you want to rank for more keywords, you're going to need more links. So if you want to do 5 links per page per month, you have 100 pages. Well, now you need 500 links per month. So it really stacks up the time. Important thing to note is, can you do this as long as it takes to hit page 1? If it takes you a year to hit page 1 and you spend 11 months working on it and stop, well, you just wasted a lot of time because you got no return on investment. 91% of people do not click past the first page. You wasted your time. So you have to be able to actually invest the time and money to get there. If you don't, if you're a startup, for example, with a burn rate, you guys need to either raise a round or you're done in 2 months. Maybe this is not the best strategy. Focus on something more short term or do this for a more sustainable business. Can you actually outwork the competition? So I looked at some competitive niches. The SEO one is a local example, but think about things like weight loss, erectile dysfunction, like people trying to rank for Viagra and that kind of thing. Those are super competitive. There's people spending millions of dollars to try to hit those spots. So can you double down and outdo those guys, either spending more time on it or spending more money on it than they do? And if you're doing it yourself, ask yourself, do I actually know what I'm doing? If you haven't ranked another website before, then you're going to take about twice as long to do it because you're going to spend time trying and failing until you figure out how it really works. Same thing if you're hiring an agency, you ask them, have you ranked a website? Can you show me where the client ranks, or where do you rank for your services? What if you had enough budget? If you had all the time and money in the world, 6 to 9 months is a safe goal for almost any local services keywords. So I'm being very specific because nationally it's a whole different ballgame, but Seattle HVAC, simple example. If you want to rank locally, safe bet 6 to 9 months. You can build and optimize all the services pages you need in the first month. And if you're doing, let's say, 5 to 8 months of link building, you're doing 5 links per page, that's enough time to beat out those guys that had 68 or 100 links. You'll get there. Let's do some examples after this. So rule of thumb, how long does it take to rank? How much relevance do you need to build? If your site already has all the pages you need, then you're done basically. How much more authority do you need to build? How many links basically do you need to exceed the other guys? I'm going to go through some examples to make this a little more tangible. I looked up Seattle HVAC on Google, and I picked out the guys that are on page 2, 3, and 4, and I'm looking at their metrics to figure out if I was working on their project, what would I tell them? So these guys, Olson Energy, they're on page 2, position 5 for Seattle HVAC. I looked at their page title, so that's the text right at the top. The title doesn't have a brand name, so they're missing out on some value there, but it's okay. The site might be over-optimized. Like when I say build a page for every keyword, I don't mean like you do one for Seattle HVAC and then you do one for HVAC in Seattle. Like, no, you don't do that. You just variations. So maybe for Bellevue you have another page, but you get the idea. So I have to check to see if they're over-optimized. Their authority is okay. So they have 83 referring domains. They're in the ballpark, but they need more to outrank the other guys. So I would say it's a good starting point. Maybe 3 to 6 months is a safe bet. So remember, guys, you want to under-promise and over-deliver. So maybe they'll rank in a month. Maybe they'll rank in 6 weeks. But if we get them there sooner, that's only better. Another example, Black Lion HVAC. These guys are on page 3, position 2. I looked at their links, only 28 referring domains, so it's pretty low. You would need about 100 more. Their relevance, again, it's okay. They have a service, you have HVAC in the page title, you have the brand name in the page title. Their inner pages, so I looked a little closer at their site, they have 10 different services. None of them have Seattle in the page, so they're not gonna rank locally. They're optimized for things like Puget Sound. Nobody really searches Puget Sound, plumber, or anything like that. They search by their city. So my prediction here would be 6 to 9 months. Again, they need about 100 links. The relevance we could do in the first month, it's a small site, to get on page 1. Third example, they only have 18 referring domains, and their homepage title is totally useless. It says Green City Heating and Air. No one's ever going to find them in Seattle. Their homepage needs a lot of work. They need a lot of new pages built. They're very low in referring domains. 9 to 12 months is a safe bet. I would be very surprised if they couldn't rank in a year of just working on this. So those are some quick examples for the heating and cooling industry. If you have any additional questions, feel free to email me. It's Hayk, Hayk, @logicinbound.com, and I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.